Imagine the billionaire founder of one of the world's largest furniture empires, a man whose name is synonymous with innovation and global success. Now picture him quietly driving an old Volvo, flying economy class, and furnishing his modest home with the very same products sold in his stores. This was Ingvar Kamprad, the founder of IKEA, a leader who built a global brand not through extravagance, but through humility, frugality, and a relentless focus on people. His leadership was legendary for its simplicity and authenticity. He believed that true leadership meant leading by example. He didn't just talk about cost consciousness, he lived it. Kamprad would often show up unannounced at IKEA stores, not to inspect, but to listen. He spoke directly with employees on the shop floor, asking about their challenges and ideas, and even insisted that all managers spend a week each year working in the stores, cleaning tables and stocking shelves just to stay connected to reality. He called this the anti-bureaucracy week, and nothing made him angrier than hearing a manager say they were too busy for it. One of the most pivotal moments in IKEA's history came in the 1950s, when Swedish furniture suppliers, threatened by IKEA's low prices, boycotted the company. Instead of giving up, he saw an opportunity. He traveled across Europe, forging new partnerships and building a global supply chain that would become one of IKEA's greatest strengths. This resourcefulness and willingness to embrace obstacles as opportunities became a defining trait of his leadership. Kamprad's approach wasn't just about saving money, it was about democratizing design. He wanted to create a better everyday life for the many people, making stylish, functional furniture affordable for everyone. By letting customers assemble their own furniture, he cut costs and empowered people, turning a simple idea into a retail revolution. So as you sit in your living room, perhaps on a piece of flat-pack furniture, remember that it was Ingvar Kamprad's humble, hands-on leadership that made it possible. His story is proof that you don't need to learn from a corner office or with grand gestures. Sometimes the greatest leaders are those who stay closest to the ground, who listen, adapt, and never lose sight of the people they serve. Welcome back to Leaders, a podcast dedicated to exploring the best leaders this world has ever seen, and your number one source for actionable business leadership insights. In today's episode 47, we will cover the founder and former CEO of IKEA, Ingvar Kamprad, illustrated by that opening there, that he illustrates some distinctive leadership qualities, ones that are outlined and detailed within his philosophies of the Testament of a Furniture Dealer, which is one of the main documents that we will leverage here to go in more depth into his leadership style. And really at the core of it was to create a better everyday life for as many people as possible. And he did that through his company and furniture and through his life, and exemplified that by keeping low prices. For those of you who bear any kind of leadership responsibility, he says it's crucially important to motivate and develop your coworkers. Team spirit was a fine thing, but it requires everybody in the team to be dedicated to their tasks. You as a captain make the decisions after consulting the team. So this is one of many leadership qualities that we will get into here, sort of his main philosophies for how he operated his business and what he really means when he talks about the IKEA way. So we've seen different companies kind of frame and brand their way of operating as the way, the GE way, historically too. And so the IKEA way, he says, is actually the sum total of all of our values. It is everything we believe in. It's never enough simply to claim that such and such isn't the IKEA way without giving a reason. That a particular idea is not cost conscious, that it's a waste of resources, that it's not in the interest of the many people, that it doesn't reveal our customary humbleness, that it's complacent, that there's no price tag. These are examples of not doing things the IKEA way. So his leadership legacy goes from dating back to him as a farm boy to this global furniture empire builder that he establishes with IKEA. At its core, there are 9 different principles that he outlines as part of leadership and operating principles for IKEA. So let's start there, and then we will go into some more extensive details as far as what his leadership style is. So first, the product range is our identity. So meaning it defines by its wide range of functional, well-designed, affordable home furnishings. Really, the relevance there from a leadership perspective is that he's ensuring organizations' offerings reflect their core values and vision, maintaining focus and clarity on what sets them ultimately apart. The IKEA spirit is number 2, a strong and living reality, and that spirit really was built on enthusiasm, cost consciousness, responsibility, helpfulness, humility, and simplicity. Number 3, profit gives us resources. So profit's essential to achieve the vision and reinvest in growth and innovation. He's really balancing then as a leader the mission with that financial stewardship, ensuring that they remain sustainable and can fund that ambitious vision that he has set out for. Number 4, to reach good results with small means. So resourcefulness and frugality are celebrated while waste is discouraged. 5, simplicity is a virtue. Avoid bureaucracy, as he outlined in the opening. Keep processes straightforward and efficient. Really promoting, from a leadership standpoint, clear communication, reducing red tape, making decisions based on common sense. Number 6, doing it a different way. Innovation comes from questioning conventions and daring to experiment. Number 7, concentration is really key to their success. Focus efforts on what matters most. Don't spread resources too thin. So that ties into, as a leader, setting priorities, concentrating resources strategically, and avoiding distractions to maximize impact. Number 8, to assume responsibility, a privilege. Responsibility is empowering, and mistakes are more so part of learning. And finally, number 9, most things still remain to be done. A glorious future, meaning there is always room for improvement and new challenges ahead. Leaders, in terms of adopting the relevance to this principle, would say cultivating a forward-looking mindset, encouraging continuous improvement and optimism about future possibilities. So through those principles, I think it really articulates a remarkable blend of humble authenticity, strategic frugality, and transformational vision that built IKEA into what it is today, which is the world's largest furniture retailer. His leadership was shaped by his upbringing that we will go into here, and a deep commitment to democratic values, customer centricity, and leading by example. So the early leadership formation that he has, and some kind of things on a mentorship standpoint that are influenced from his family upbringing, would include him starting in the rural town of Småland, Sweden, where he was born in 1926. The harsh landscape of rocky terrain and poor soil in the region actually created a culture of resourcefulness and determination, and that would really help shape his philosophy. Early on, he was definitely entrepreneurial as well. So beginning at age 5, he started selling matches to neighbors, demonstrating an innate understanding of those business principles. He also had influence from a mentorship standpoint, and that came from his family. There were strong women that surrounded him, his resourcefulness. Mother, Berta, provided love and encouragement while demonstrating some practical business sense by renting out rooms on the family farm to supplement finances. He also had a stern but supportive paternal grandmother that served as his most reliable customer, purchasing everything from matches to fish that he sold, providing emotional support and practical business validation. His other playful maternal grandfather, Carl Bernard, operated an exotic shop of nails and dynamite, offering inspiration through that spirit, entrepreneurial spirit, and willingness to engage with his business ventures. And those really established some of his principles that he would later apply at scale. when he was 17, his father's graduation gift of the company registration fee for IKEA represented some support financially, but also formal recognition of his son's leadership potential. So at its foundation from his philosophy was a testament of simplicity, that we would call it. This crystallized around the principle that simplicity is a virtue. It became then the driving force behind IKEA's expansion. That core belief manifested in that manifesto of Testament of a Furniture Dealer, which he wrote in 1976. And that established his guide to operations. It also emphasized wasting resources is a mortal sin at IKEA, and that expensive solutions to any kind of problem are usually the work of mediocrity. His philosophical approach to leadership was deeply rooted in democratic values and egalitarian principles. He believed that only those who are asleep make no mistakes, and that the fear of making mistakes is the root of bureaucracy and the enemy of development. That perspective created a leadership culture, really encouraged experimentation, learning from failure versus punishing the failures seen in the company. He emphasized leaders should be approachable and lead by example, fostering equality and teamwork throughout the organization. The leadership philosophy also incorporated strong elements of time management and focus. He stressed that time is your most important resource and advised dividing life into 10-minute units and sacrifice as few of them as possible in meaningless activity. This intense focus on efficiency and purposeful action really became a hallmark within that, and he had a belief that concentration is important to success, and that the general who divides his resources will invariably be defeated, demonstrating strategic thinking that would prove crucial in IKEA's global expansion. Through his leadership philosophy as well was a lot of humility and humble leadership in practice, so leading by example. And one of the most distinctive ways that he showed that and defied it was to defy this kind of conventional executive behavior. Despite becoming a very wealthy entrepreneur, he drove an old Volvo, he flew economy class, and furnished his home with the products that we mentioned before. That really wasn't just personal preference, but really a deliberate strategy designed to model the values he expected in the organization. That frugality was evident in his everyday behavior too, in recycling tea bags, taking home salt and pepper packets from restaurants. That humble approach also created profound connections with employees at all levels. So you've seen this with other leaders that we've studied, of trying to get through to the employees, make sure that they are heard, and then also just enact different qualities that would make it attractive to work at that company. So he often visited stores unannounced, and that's another common trait that we see across some of the other leaders that we've studied here, is that they are going into these stores, going into the factories, really at the ground floor, understanding what is going on in their large scalable empires, and they don't lose sight of that. Even, you might say, doing that in the beginning makes sense, but they definitely did not lose sight of that throughout their leadership career. So a common trait that we've identified here is to be in the details for the most part and be talking to customers as well as within the employees. And so he really had a connection with frontline operations and demonstrated hierarchy that didn't create barriers to communication. He had a willingness to listen and engage with staff, creating really a sense of camaraderie and mutual respect. That authenticity was also reinforced by his personal habits that aligned with company values. He had a practice of personally handing out Christmas presents to thousands of employees each year. In addition to that, he really had a customer-centric vision and innovation in terms of his leadership. It was driven by a vision to really seek a better everyday life for as many people as possible. And that went beyond just a mere kind of marketing slogan that sounded good. It represented a genuine commitment to democratizing good design and functional furniture for ordinary customers. He really understood his target market, and that led to a lot of different innovations that set them apart from different competition that came along the way. One of the big examples of his innovation and leadership occurred through the collaboration with designer Gillis Lundgren, who created the flat pack furniture concept that revolutionized the industry. That story began when Lundgren was tasked with delivering a table to a photo studio for catalog photography, found that his car really couldn't accommodate the assembled furniture. So a solution of removing the legs sparked him to recognize the broader implications for cost reduction, transportation efficiency, and customer convenience with this innovative product. While Lundgren wasn't the inventor of the flat pack furniture, Kamprad's leadership vision recognized how to scale that concept across his entire furniture range, fundamentally transforming the business model. He also developed a lot of different unique retail concepts that enhanced customer experience while reducing cost. Self-service warehouses allowed customers to pick up their furniture directly, improving convenience while eliminating expensive delivery services. The creation of IKEA showrooms where customers could experience products in realistic room settings before purchasing also built some trust and loyalty while differentiating them from other retailers. In addition to that, he has a learning leadership, and that is flowing through his American journey, which was a crucial episode that he developed in the 1960s, really trying to learn and think strategically as he took a 3-week journey from Sweden to New York, Chicago, San Francisco, Las Vegas, and Los Angeles. He visited about 50 different companies to study American retail and distribution innovations, traveled with his friend and his father, and that systematic approach that he took to this learning journey really revealed how he was thinking about his business. He prepared specific questions focusing on practical retail challenges. Were there stores with low-priced departments and basements? Were there low-priced furniture companies with city or suburban locations? Which cities of 500,000 to 800,000 inhabitants had particularly well-developed retail systems? That really methodical investigation demonstrated his leadership and strategy on understanding market dynamics, customer behavior, and where he wanted to really have IKEA expand to. And he was really of this kind of notion that leaders are always seeking new knowledge. They're always remaining open to learning from other industries and cultures. And so that trip really exemplified that. In addition to that, some leadership style that exemplified more democratic and paternalistic kind of synthesis. And that is balancing employee empowerment with strong directional guidance, which is not easy to do. He consistently encouraged employees to participate in business decisions, but also regularly consulted with staff before making final determinations. He also maintained really through that employee feedback, but then ultimate decision-making and authority was exemplified by him, but genuine care for employee welfare and development when he was making those decisions. This was also evident within IKEA's management structure, where each function had coworkers reporting to managing directors, creating clear hierarchies while maintaining open communication channels. His approach incorporated elements of consultative leadership, where he actively kind of sought input from employees and customers to inform strategic decisions. He reflected some of the dimensions of paternalistic leadership with Mayo's human relations approach to motivation and Maslow's a hierarchy of needs theory, demonstrating understanding of employee psychology, giving significant attention to the social needs and views of workers, acting as a father figure who consulted employees on important issues while providing direction and support, and that approach really helped foster some loyalty and commitment within the organization. He's also a values-driven leader and exemplifies that through social responsibility that extended beyond just profit maximization. And we see that within some of the other leaders that we've studied here as well. Episode 37, a lot of these qualities that we show here in terms of IKEA focusing on functional and technical quality, I think also relate back to Yvon Chouinard, episode 37, and some parallels to Patagonia as far as some of these principles and philosophies that were adopted. In addition to the social responsibility piece, he really feels his belief is doing the right thing both for people and the planet, creating a lasting impact on IKEA's ethos that continues to influence company operations today. His values-driven approach was also addressed his controversial past involvement with some fascist organizations during his youth. In 1994, when his association with the Swedish fascist movement was revealed, he took responsibility by calling it the greatest mistake of my life, devoted chapters in his autobiography to address that period. He was really transparently acknowledging this of past errors and committed to different values, demonstrating his accountability and personal growth that reinforced the credibility on those kind of ethical issues that were raised prior. In addition, he is a transformational and charismatic leader, and how he exemplified that was inspiring followers and driving organizational change. The charisma really included the ability to articulate compelling vision, demonstrating confidence in achieving ambitious goals, and inspiring others to commit to shared objectives. Employees and collaborators consistently described wanting to follow him because of his inspirational approach and openness to new ideas from throughout the organization. Really, the transformational piece of his leadership was evident in the ability to fundamentally change how people thought about furniture retail, customer experience, and business operations. He didn't simply improve existing approaches, but created entirely new sort of paradigms for the industry and customer expectations as a result of that. His leadership transformation of IKEA was from a small mail order business into a global empire, now with 379 stores generating over $40 billion annually, demonstrating the scale of that transformational impact that he's made. During 2 decades of executive team expansion, turnover increased from 25 billion to 250 billion Swedish kroner. Employees grew from 30,000 to 150,000, and stores expanded from 70 primarily European locations to 250 with global coverage. That unprecedented expansion really resulted from his original visionary leadership as to what he wanted to create. In addition to that, his ability amongst a lot of these different leadership principles to maintain organizational culture and values during rapid growth. So what is his leadership legacy through all of this? It extends just beyond those personal achievements and how big IKEA has gotten. It encompasses sustainable organizational systems and the culture that he built at IKEA. His principles of humility, frugality, customer focus, and innovation continue to guide company operations and strategic direction. After his death just 7 years ago in 2018, the current leadership structure, CEO John Abrahamson Ring, leading the inner IKEA group management team, maintains commitment to his fundamental principles while also trying to adapt to some contemporary challenges. The sustainability of his approach from a leadership standpoint is also continued in the programs that reflect his values and methods. The company's win-win reciprocal mentorship program, which was launched this year, pairs senior leaders with coworkers from underrepresented groups, demonstrating commitment to leadership and employee development. His leadership influence also extended to other business leaders and organizations that have adopted some of these elements to customer experience, cost management, and culture. His emphasis on making shopping an adventure, not a chore, and creating retail experiences that combine practical benefits with emotional engagement has really influenced retailers, just not only within furniture, but beyond that broader retail sense. So his leadership, in conclusion, here represents a remarkable synthesis of humble authenticity, strategic vision, and transformational impact. And that helped create one of the world's most successful and enduring business organizations. That leadership style that he forged in the challenging environment of growing up in rural Sweden, really shaped by a lot of his different family mentors along the way, demonstrated that effective leadership could combine democratic principles with strong directional guidance. In some sense, personal modesty with ambitious vision, and cost consciousness with customer centricity. That's the stories of unannounced store visits, personal gift giving to thousands of employees, and commitment to flying economy class despite immense wealth illustrate leadership authenticity that inspired genuine follower commitment within his customers and his employees. His legacy really offers valuable insights and lessons for leaders today facing global complex challenges. His emphasis on learning from different sources, maintaining connection with frontline operations, and leading by example, I think really provide a blueprint for sustainable leadership success. That continued strength of IKEA's culture and performance after his death really speaks to his legacy as well, demonstrating authentic, values-driven leadership that can create organizational systems and transcend individual leaders while maintaining a lot of different core values and vision. And so with that, episode 47 here, Ingvar Kamprad, definitely a long-lasting leader and original founder of IKEA in an interesting furniture retail empire that he grew, and not just by sheer will or scale, but by a lot of the different key leadership principles that we've outlined here that are definitely worth studying. So with that, thanks for listening, and we'll be back here for episode 48 soon.